All right.
Now you gotta go.
Welcome.
Look at you.
This is Ruthlessly Committed because I'm getting excited in the camera.
I'm getting
Ruthlessly
sweaty.
Committed. Wednesday night, episode 4. This is Sexually Repressed. I'm Ryan. This is Lucy. And let's get started.
Up?
So I don't think I'm sexually repressed at all. I'm open to the possibility. For the most part, I don't think I'm sexually repressed.
This is not really about being sexually repressed right now. It's how we were for a long time, especially me.
Do you think I'm sexually repressed right now?
Oh, think about that.
I think I am.
I think we both are. We're less repressed than we used to be, by far. But there's always more. It's just like self-awareness and
so
all that
excited
crap.
to be here. I've been waiting.
Sexually.
It's been a long week, and these things fire me up. I tell you what.
Yeah, and check out his new do. I'm
I tried out
jealous.
this dried shampoo thing.
Yeah, he's doing
and I
dried
have
shampoo.
crazy hair. It's awesome.
I'm jealous of
My
his
daughters
hair.
can't take their eyes off me.
It's very luxurious. It's luxurious. I can hardly stand it. Look
And
at
it
this.
stays out of my face now.
Look at that.
So sexually repressed.
Yes. This is good stuff.
Boom, let's get started. She is the sexually repressed one with the big history of sexual repression. It sounds like an age of time.
An age of time?
Yeah,
what do you mean by that?
The great sexual repression.
Oh my god, the great sexual repression. I like that. I'm gonna share this on our wall, on my wall, so that before we continue, we can let our friends know about it. And right now my internet is slow. So
I guess
while
just
we
her
wait,
friends, because I'm not going to do that.
I don't mind sharing with you guys. So really, the way that this topic came about was that, well, we thought, what should we talk about this week? And Ryan said, oh, let's talk about sex. And I said, great. Sounds fun.
Because we almost did a
about
couple weeks ago, and then we skipped over it because something happened. And we got to get to it.
So
Everybody has been asking us, talk about sex, and throwing all this crap at us, all these topics. Not crap, the good topics. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your crap. Thanks for your great topics. Well, and that was the thing. We were going to talk about keeping the passion alive in the middle of parenting and life and all that stuff. And then our shit happened, and we thought, well, this is very real and very raw, so we're going to talk about that. So we ended up talking about being rejected and unwanted.
This heater off. This heater
oh, thank you. Thank you.
So
why is the heater turning on? So then when we asked,
let's talk about it.
What we should talk about with this? Yeah. So this has been a big area of contention in our marriage, because I didn't see myself as a very sexual person. I thought that once I got married, that would change. I don't know, like something would happen, or all of a sudden I would just like want my husband all the time, and I legitimately felt many times that I must be broken, like my body must be broken, something must be wrong, because I wasn't like turned on all the time.
So let's go back to the start, because when we were dating, you were all over me.
Yes.
So
yes,
we're Christian.
You're right.
We didn't have sex until we got married, but things got pretty hot and frisky. We dated. Well, we dated for 5 months.
We did like pretty much everything except.
We dated for 5 months, and then we watch this, guys. Oh yeah. So we dated for 5 months, and then we were engaged for 5 more months, and then we got married. And those 10 months.
They were pretty hot
and the months that followed, yeah, like it didn't seem like there was any sexual repression.
Yeah, so he felt pretty deceived. He's like, whoa, all of a sudden we're married and things started to change. And especially after I got pregnant, because that was pretty much right away, 3 months later.
In fact, when we were dating, like I couldn't keep you off me. Like that was my issue, because I felt so guilty. I was like, every time we'd hug, I get an erection. And I was like, I felt so guilty.
Next to me.
I felt so guilty. And then, yeah.
Oh my god.
But things changed. Like, so when did things change?
When did things change? A big turning point was when I got pregnant, and I thought, okay, well, this is just a temporary thing. When I was pregnant with her first, with Callie, I had really bad morning sickness, and I was puking my guts out all day for the first 3 months. And I thought, oh, things will just change, it'll get better. We have the baby, and then my body was just a wreck. We didn't even want to talk about the damage that was done down there. It was like serious, you guys. And we got back into it. Obviously, we had another baby like 1 year later. So stuff was working, but it was just mentally, I could do without it. Like I was fine. It's like, okay, well, how long has it been? Because if it happened yesterday, then I've got like 4 more days or 3 more days or 2 more days or whatever it was in that season before we gotta meet my quota again. You guys tell me how many of you do that? No, because this is the reality.
Are you expecting them to tell you?
Yes.
Because we get like very
little interaction.
Very little interaction.
I don't know
like
how
people
much...
talk to us, but we get very little interaction when it comes to the media.
Yeah. So if you dare speak up, be like, hey, me too, that's me. Or I was there. You don't have to be there right now. It's cool if you are.
Here's the thing. There've been many times in our marriage where I did the same thing. Like we have sex and I'm like, all right, got that taken care of.
Yeah.
I got like 2 days.
Check.
2 days before I have to do that again. Serious.
2 days, and then he'd be doing. I mean, he would still like. It wouldn't be done. Shop isn't closed between the 2 days. So why don't you talk about that a little bit? Because
you're the one sexually repressed.
Yes,
Let's go
how
there.
did that affect you?
Well, it sucked, but I didn't even know this was going on because you said this happened like morning sickness with Callie, the first kid.
Yeah.
So this is a few months into our marriage. I didn't know. I didn't know what else. Because we had just got, like, literally, we just got married. We're like the only friends at the time. I mean, we're only, like, all of our friends are single. We're newlywed. We're so excited to be married, having sex.
And that's the other thing.
We got caught, like, at the bookstore, we were at the Christian school. We went to Oral Roberts University Christian School.
We didn't know what the hell we were doing. We literally got books about how to have sex.
To Barnes and Nobles or something, we come out with a stack of books on sex like this big, and we like run into friends, all embarrassed.
Yeah, like.
And then we ordered sex toys, like it was crazy. And then all of a sudden,
I think your Bible ran into a wall. First. That was
the first book I read. Yeah,
the first help sex book. She comes first. Still highly recommended. You know what though? You know what I think a lot of it was at the root of this was my mentality about sex going into it, like. We shouldn't be having it before we're married, and so
go into your background, like your culture, your background, how you grew up, because I think that had a big influence.
Oh, it absolutely had the biggest
even
influence.
Still the way you see sex.
Yeah. So so I mean, I grew up in a conservative home where we didn't really talk about sex. It was just the very bare minimums. The bare minimum. Like, hey, I didn't even know that vagina was called a vagina until I was. I don't know, a teenager?
Lucy is Hispanic. Her vagina was referred to as potito, which is like little butthole.
So there were just little things, like they were trying to make it...
That's a big thing to a kid though, because they just think it's dirty.
Yeah, trying to make it like minimize it, like, oh, it's just this, it's not really that. Like, I didn't know anatomically what it was called until I was well of age. And just little things like that. I didn't think twice about it because, you know, when it's the context that you grow up in, you don't second guess it unless you experience something different. And then you think, oh, why do we do things this way in our home? So we were focused on other things. It was just never really something that that our family wanted to talk about. So I always downplayed that part of myself. I felt ashamed of it. It felt dirty. It was like I shouldn't want anything. I shouldn't want physical pleasure or things like that. I have a question.
It's about to get spicy in here because I never asked you this.
Oh my God. Where are we going with this?
High school. Did you masturbate?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay. I'm shocked.
It wasn't even like I see, okay, and I don't want to say it's a girl versus a boy thing because my stories that I hear about guys as teenagers are like always masturbating. They can't help it like 5 times a day or whatever until you drop links. But I didn't have that. I was just yeah, it was an infrequent thing. I could have done without it. It was just when I got really curious because I thought I shouldn't even be like thinking about it, you know. So when we got married, and not when we got married, when we started dating, Ryan was the first guy that I felt free to like explore things with. And even though we didn't actually have sex until we were married, there was a whole lot of other stuff in there. Hey, thank you, Flossie. Doesn't his... Okay. I mean, no comparison. It's not a hair contest.
She's trying to make you feel good. It's okay.
So I really was sexually repressed and didn't know it, and when we got married, it's like, you know, when you want something but you can't have it, or you're not supposed to have it, and it makes you want it more. But if it was okay to have it, you may not want it as much. No offense, it wasn't.
That's
that you
what
weren't
sucks.
That's
there
what
we go.
sucks.
We just unlocked a secret tonight. Don't get married. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But damn, like that's, I hit a brick wall. So
there's a workaround to that.
Like things were so crazy until a certain point, and she just pointed that out as like just after we were married, she got pregnant.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, sex achieves its purpose. I have a baby.
Things started dying out.
Yeah, and it just felt more like, we should do it because we're married.
Which super fucking sucked because I was just getting started. I was all excited.
He's like, this is why I got married.
I've been waiting a long time for this.
Well, we were doing it like every day, maybe twice a day. I don't know. Some of you people are crazy. You newlyweds, and you're like always like bunnies. Or apparently snails have a lot of sex.
I don't want to talk about snails right now.
So so not only was there this, did we miss out on this whole appeal of, oh, can't, like I want what I can't have, but also it felt like I should be having all this sex because I'm married now. And it was very confusing, and I still didn't see myself as a very sexual being. And also my hormones were always, I didn't have a normal cycle until 2 years ago. But the tide started turning before that. It was a year and a half ago. Anyway, so before we move on to what changed things, what do you have to add about your whole experience the first 9-ish years?
Oh, 9-ish years? That's a big season.
Because there were ups and downs. There were definitely ups and downs. When he got back from his deployment, we couldn't keep our hands off each other. We were just like two strangers meeting again. There were some great hot moments.
I mean, it's been such a blur. It's been a long time. So we've been married 11 years. I can't remember all this stuff.
Well, every time I got on birth control,
I just know in general, I can tell you in general, there's been seasons where sex has just been like an automatic thing. We just do
just
once a week,
doing dishes,
once a week, maybe twice a week, and during those times when it's very automatic, I had, like when sex got boring for me, I turned to pornography, masturbation, did things on my own. And
I just turned to work.
And I can't even remember necessarily why, if it was, like, I don't even know why, but I just know that I did that. And it was crazy for me because I always figured, like, once I got married, I could have sex, we'll have sex all the time, never have to work, like, never turn to pornography ever again. I mean, even before we were married, like, it was a long time, like, that I didn't look at porn or masturbate or anything like that. And then we were excited getting married, and so I don't know when exactly that season was. This is crazy. I'm talking about this in front of everybody. You know how we have told you at the very first episode, I think, how one of our favorite authors, she says that most of us go through 3 to 4 committed relationships in our lifetime, and some of us do it with the same person. Well, we have been through at least 3. We think this is our 4th relationship in our marriage, and there have been many ups and downs. So it's hard to compress it into, here's what happened before 9 years, the first 9 years, and then the last 2 years. Yeah, but anyway, so back to me, like... Back to you. Back to me. No, definitely, when I have felt like Lucy didn't want me. When I say Lucy didn't want me, not that she was, like, sexually turned off by me. Yeah, we would still do it. Our automatic was pretty regular still. Like, I wanted her to want me. And all the time. Yeah, just look at him and be like, hey, what's in those pants? Yeah. You know? Ooh, are you wearing underwear? Man, this feels so crazy. This is... Forgive me, this is new to me, but man, I'm about to go there. But I expected Lucy to be wet for me. You know, like excited, wet, ready to have sex. Like a teenager or something. You know, yeah. And we were teenagers when we were dating. You have to do so much damn foreplay and all that stuff. And when I started noticing it, I can't put my mind, like a pinpoint a certain time. But like overall, I think when I, noticed that sex wasn't a big deal to you, I'll put it that way. Sex wasn't a big deal to you, but it was always a big deal to me. Very big deal to me. I would turn to pornography and masturbation. And it was a regular thing. In fact, sometimes that was often like much more exciting to me. Oh, so sex became, instead of my exciting point, it became the like, well, my responsibility. Let's just get this out of the way. One time a week, 2 times a week, and it's like, yes, thank you. And now I have a couple of days where I can go look at porn and do my own thing.
I get more excited and get something different. Yeah. And during all this time, we're also doing the regular, the parenting stuff, getting up with the kids, having more babies, regular life. So it just became another thing to do. It wasn't something we really looked forward to. Until we hit a really, really, really rough spot. And it is weird how our mind kind of.
So are you gonna go to like moving here?
Yeah,
all the way. Okay. So no, there was a point before then. So I remember in Los Angeles, we moved to LA, and I don't know when this was. Maybe about a year into moving to LA. So that would have been about 5 years ago.
It was after I was.
Like 5 years ago, and.
Yeah.
And the thing is, so I would tell, like, when I looked at porn, it wasn't like an everyday thing. I did this all the time, but there were seasons. I mean, I did this often, many times a week. And usually when I did, I would tell you.
Well, no, when I found that one time, I didn't know that you were still doing it.
Yeah, okay.
I thought he had quit. So it was really hurtful. And
so it was kind of an on and off thing that I would do through seasons. And I remember this one time in Los Angeles, I think about a year after we moved there, I was in the middle of this season of looking at porn, and I told you, I was like, I just admitted it to you, and this is what I'm doing again. I've been doing this. I've been struggling with this.
Oh, when you were in that small group and you guys were opening up about it.
It was after that.
Okay.
By the way, if you're in a church small group, and particularly a men's group, and you haven't talked about this, go there, because every time I go there in a small group and do this, it opens up everything. I don't know why it takes so long for people to get there. But it's something that I'm not gonna say it's something that everybody struggles with, but
vast majority.
Fucking everybody struggles with it.
Everybody that we have a lot of people.
There's very few exceptions. But anyways, I'm not justifying me. It's just that's what I did. I'm telling you, that's what I did. And so I admitted it to Lucy. This is about 5 years ago, and you were like super bent out of shape about it.
I was, because I felt like I wasn't delivering what you needed and what I wanted, and I knew that I wasn't giving it 100% either, and I didn't know why. I didn't know what was holding me back. Like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with like how I look at sex? Why can't I just be turned on instantly all the time like these women in porn movies, which first of all is not reality, but still
we can make it reality.
We can create our own reality. And it all starts in the head, in the mind. So I in my mind, I just didn't see myself as a very sexual person, as a very free person. And so when he told me that he was looking at porn again, I was very hurt. I felt personally rejected. I took it very personally. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm doing this thing because, I don't know, it feels good and I enjoy it and everybody does it, or whatever the conversation was. I don't remember exactly. I just remember that I felt very rejected and hurt and like I wasn't good enough. And that just explained the story of my life at that time. I felt like I wasn't good enough in anything. So...
boom. Yeah, and then this is what's crazy in a marriage, in any relationship, there's an opposite side of the coin. And so when I told her, I think you started crying, or at least within a few minutes or something.
Started crying, yeah.
And it seemed like you felt betrayed, and you judged me, like you were angry at me. And so she's feeling all those feelings, which I didn't know that she felt. Like, I mean, that makes sense, but I didn't know at the time. All I knew is that she was pissed at me, so I felt judged. I was like, shit, you don't have to deal with what I'm doing. Hey, we're only having sex once or twice a week, and this and this and this, whatever my excuses were. And so I felt judged, and so we have a disconnect.
Yeah.
So we had to talk about it. So that's why it was a big season, because at this particular moment, because I don't think when I told you about porn before you were ever bent out of shape, at least visibly to me.
Yeah, I didn't know. It didn't hit me as hard.
So this was a shocker.
Yeah.
And so from there we went, that same day we took a walk on the beach, Manhattan Beach, and we talked about the issue and why. I think you asked me a question like, so why? Like, why are you looking at... Or maybe you didn't ask me that question. I was just looking deep. I remember looking deep, and I was like, why the fuck am I looking at porn? Like, why am I looking at porn? Is it just because I need more sex, more orgasms a week? Like, why? Just why is it? And I figured it out. And so actually I figured it out myself, and this is why I want to take you for a walk, because I knew this was going to be a crazy conversation out of my comfort zone at the time. And I was like, I was nervous. So we took a walk, and I told you why I looked at porn. And the big thing for me was that it was exciting. It was exciting for me because I got something out of porn that I couldn't get in our marriage, in our traditional sex, which is kind of crazy because we've always had kind of, let you guys know, a little kinky sex.
Well, no, we just recently got really kinky. I mean, that was just in the last year-ish.
But I mean, from the beginning, we've always done.
Yeah, we've done.
Not super traditional, and
we can.
So I would have thought I'd been more out of my comfort zone already, or we were, you know. But anyways, I was still very scared to tell you, and so I told you that I look at porn because, like, I can look at different types of sexual stuff that I can't get in our marriage.
Different scenarios.
And so I realized this
played out in a visual. Yeah.
So I realized, not necessarily even fantasies, like just maybe fantasy.
Some of them were. I mean, I remember.
But anyway, so I remember telling you that, and so that was a big catalyst, that conversation, because me really realizing that and communicating that with Lucy, which was really scary. Like, that was some hard shit to do.
That was crazy.
Because I mean, for so long, I just hid it. You know, like, this is me.
You hid it. Oh, you hid it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't just like show you the porn I was looking at.
You hid it.
So I hid it.
Totally different.
And
I hid that.
But that was a catalyst because that opened up sex in a new way in our marriage.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. So that was a big step. And I do remember, experimenting with different things when we were still in LA. We segment our lives based on where we lived. That's how we remember things. If we lived in one place our whole lives, I don't know how the hell we remember the stuff. So that was LA times. And then when we came to San Diego and we had the most hellish year that we'd experienced, our first year here, between injury, your surgery, my crazy eczema, having a newborn again, our fourth kid, and all that stuff, surviving. So about 6 months into that, we, do you remember what it was that actually triggered that big blow up?
Oh,
what was the actual thing? I feel like it was a series of things.
About.
The one where we sat on a couch right here, and we talked, and we finally, we started opening up about fantasies. That's when, remember reading that book? You were reading that Michael Bader book.
I don't know what the blow up was about, but I do, like.
It was a series of things. Something finally. I happened
on a book. Excuse me. I happened on a book called Arousal by Michael Bader, and it was this book on sexual fantasies and the psychology behind it and why we have them and things like that.
It's really cool. It's fascinating.
And yeah, it was a very fascinating book. And so I was reading it and I was like, Lucy, you got to read this. And basically that book itself was a catalyst. I feel like it gave me permission, and it gave even more so because I had been pretty open about my desires for sex and what I wanted and what I thought was sexy, turn-ons, things like that.
And we did have that one conversation about fantasies back in LA, but that was very limited.
Well, I think we've had a few smaller ones.
I remember that one on the beach when I was pregnant and we talked about Snow White. I'm not going to tell you people what that was about. That was my weird stuff.
She's really freaky.
Something about 7 dwarves and stuff.
And Snow White, so she's been freaky since she was a little girl, but she's been suppressing this stuff way down.
Always been freaky. Yeah.
So, but yeah, Michael Bader, the book is called Arousal, and that, I feel like that gave me permission.
It was a lot of insight into why our brains work the way that they do.
Yeah, actually it gave you permission to really open up a lot of your sexuality and stuff. So that was just a couple years ago.
That was, yes.
So 11 years of marriage, so that was 9 years into our marriage, and she just started like really opening up sexually, and just like, because the thing is, I don't know who said it, but I love this. Our heart wants what the heart desires what the heart wants what the heart wants, whether or not it can have it. And
yeah. So oftentimes we know we can't have it, or it's too outlandish, or like whatever, this is never going to happen. It's not realistic.
Or we think we shouldn't have it, or we think it's wrong, when we're in especially when we're in conservative cultures and we're told that this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong.
Yeah. And then so we don't want ourselves to want it. So we repress it.
We might think it's wrong, but it's still there somewhere, and so we like deny it or suppress it.
We just push it down.
Put it away.
For me, it was to the point
there.
That I couldn't even I didn't even. I really thought that it wasn't even there. That's how far deep I had pushed that side of myself down. Because I was so ashamed of it. Anytime that I had any desires, I felt so ashamed. I felt like this is wrong, this is sinful, this is dirty. And so that one conversation I remember well, because that was the first conversation, the one about the 7 dwarfs and stuff, where Ryan was like, oh, what, so do you have any fantasies? And it's like, I don't know. Actually, there's this one thing that kind of does something for me, and so I told him about it. He laughed. I laughed. I'm like, I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. I don't know why this does something for me. But it's such deep insight into the mind, and it doesn't come from just nowhere. So this book really gave me permission in particular to explore all of that. And I remember sitting on the couch here, and that was really when things started to shift, was in that season after we had moved here. Because I let myself free. and not that I'm completely free. I don't know what percentage of free I am, but I know that I'm more free now than I've ever been. And a lot of it had to do with
she's still holding back.
Which
I'm
not gonna.
That she's still holding back is that we're not having sex right now. So she's still holding back.
I'm committed to you
but
guys.
We are.
I'm on my.
We're moving in the right direction.
Too much information. Too many informations. Yeah, no. So the talk about fantasies is really what brought us. What first of all gave me permission give myself permission to explore what I really want, what turns me on, and how it's not that's wrong. That's not wrong. It's just, hey, this is what does something for me. I can get curious about it and be like, why is that? Why is that? And it's not all about the fantasies either. It's just that was just an opportunity for us to connect about our sexual beings, and that brought us closer together. And
yeah, it feels good to be known. And it feels good to know. And
especially to come out with something that you could potentially be extremely shamed for, rejected, judged for, and all of that. And here's the thing,
it's not potentially. The whole time when she doesn't have it out, and it's in the darkness, in the shadows in the darkness,
still judging
she says
myself.
It's shame, judge. Like, she's shaming herself, judging herself.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was interesting because that was our first...
Which not only, here's the thing, like we can never play out any of those fantasies or role play anything or do any of that stuff.
They're actual fantasies,
but
not real.
Because they're in the darkness still, it affects the rest of our sex life.
Yeah, the real stuff.
Because she still has that, even if we're doing something that she's completely okay with, she still has like a bit of guilt, a bit of shame, and all that stuff in her still. And the thoughts still pop. I'm just speaking for her now, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, thoughts pop in her head.
Totally good.
Yeah, thoughts can pop in her head and everything. And if she is in the dark about it, she feels guilty and ashamed and embarrassed and all that stuff about it. And that robs her from being present in the moment, having sex.
Because I'm thinking like, is he wearing a cowboy hat right now? Is he wearing boots? I don't know.
Is this what you think about?
Not anymore, but for a season I did. We need to like write a chronography or whatever of our fantasies.
And that's another cool thing. Actually, I'm excited about that. So our sexual fantasies and desires, like they change, like they morph, they change. Yeah. And that's cool
in proportion to our own, like how we change as whole beings, which is really cool.
It's cool because my favorite part of that is it's like expanding our sexuality. And it provides so many opportunities to keep on having these conversations. And
yeah, it's not a one-time thing. Like, we're done.
Because sex is such a mental thing. Sex is such a mental thing. It's such a mental game.
Yeah.
And connection and intimacy just in a conversation.
Yeah, because you have to get really vulnerable to even say that stuff. And then the vulnerability, creates more trust and connection and intimacy. So, or it can totally disgust somebody. There's another possibility, but we were willing to take that risk. And there were some things that we talked about and we're like, really? I don't know how I feel about that. but in the end, I mean, especially for you, I told him some crazy stuff. And he was like, I don't know how I feel about that. But then he came back around. He's like, oh, okay, I can see that. But what's really cool for me is, for me, what has been cool for me is seeing at different stages of my life how things that came into my mind as a fantasy reflected my life as a whole. Like my need for attention, my need for approval, my need to be, I don't know, to be validated, things like that. And then looking back later on at the next season of life, like, oh, why doesn't that really do anything for me anymore? Oh, it's because that's what that was about. And now this actually turns me on. So then keeping that communication open, and we actually are kind of due for another fantasy talk here. I think it's been like, not on camera.
So let's pause. So, because I want to encourage, with this video, of us sharing this, other couples to open up more to each other. And not sharing on, Facebook Live.
Yeah, don't comment on our video unless you're really crazy.
But to be open with each other, because I have dealt with this on a personal basis, like with other men, with other married, especially married Christian men.
I've talked to lots of women
I say
about
especially
this.
Married Christian men, because most of the men I know are Christian. But I've had conversations with these guys, and this same stuff always comes up. And I just want to say, have the conversation. But I forget that it's scary shit to have a conversation. You're gonna get judged, or at least there's a possibility of being judged big time. I mean, you're already judging yourself. Like, there's so much judgment in the air, and but yeah, so many men I know are unwilling to go there, and women, I'm sure too.
Oh yeah.
And
yes.
And so this is a big thing. This is why we even wanted to talk about it, because it's a big thing that comes up often in our conversations, especially when I'm just talking to a man, you're just talking to a woman.
Yeah.
And because they go there and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and it's never
I try
about,
to encourage.
Yeah, you can encourage them and be like,
give them my story.
You can do it.
But yeah, so that's our story, is how it worked. And I want to go in to even encourage it more. Let's go back to, what do you think, Lucy, is the biggest pain, one or two pains that we have, that has been caused by us holding ourselves back from each other?
I
particularly think, there's two things, there's sexually and sexual fantasies, knowing each other, knowing one another, holding them back. So give a big pain, one big pain.
The first one that comes to mind is the connection, because when there's judgment in the way, when there's shame in the way, that interrupts that keeps connection from happening. So if I didn't realize it at the time that that's what was missing. I just knew that I was missing something, that there was something that I wasn't feeling, and I wasn't feeling connected. And I was in my own way. Ryan was in his own way, all this stuff, but I didn't realize what my part was in all of that.
So I'm hearing, this is a big thing I'm hearing, because sex is, in my experience, most powerful when you have two people who are super present in the moment with each other. And so what you just said is, because you have all this stuff going on, you're not present there
and
with
even
me.
if it's the undercurrent, it's not,
you might as well be having sex with yourself, with someone else getting you off, basically, is what I'm hearing.
Man. Yeah. So even if it's not a very conscious thing up in the front of my mind, if it was just an undercurrent of, I just feel, and not even knowing what it is, just knowing that something's off, the disconnection. And then the other thing that came to mind was a big theme that came up for us was neglect, because you felt, you told me so many times how you felt neglected. I just didn't notice.
Yeah, so that's me. So what about you? A pain for you?
The disconnection sums up everything, because everything falls under that.
Okay. Well, that'll go into, I think, a couple big things for me. One is, you said, what did you just say? Neglect. So the big word for me is loneliness. Mm-hmm. I felt lonely. I feel first, if I don't feel like you really want me, that makes me feel lonely. My own wife, like the one person in the whole world that should want me more than anybody else, like that makes me feel more than lonely. It makes me feel like worthless, or at least unworthy, insignificant, not very special, not enough. And
which is why 2 weeks ago was such a big deal.
So there's that. Yeah. So there's that, and another one is I feel lonely in the fact that if I'm holding stuff back from you, so I have like fantasies in my head that I'm scared to share with you, that I haven't shared with you, I feel like unknown. Like I feel like she doesn't know me. I feel like unseen, and I feel hidden and lonely from my most intimate relationship I should be having.
Yeah, it's hard to feel connected when you're feeling lonely and you're like keeping things to yourself.
That's it for me. I mean, I know there's more, but
we could probably go on and on about this for a long time.
Those are two big things. Yeah. So, man, and on top of that,
connection and loneliness.
I will say, like, when those seasons when we had that disconnect, we weren't having. I'm not gonna say we weren't having sex. We always had sex.
It was more,
but it was very
like
automatic.
Mechanics,
Very automatic. The guy from Wake Up Warrior, his name is Garrett J. White. He calls it like penis and vagina masturbation or something like that. Like it's just basically automatic sex, doing it, responsibility,
like
duty,
your bodies are together,
getting it done,
but there's no real connection.
And those seasons were always the seasons where I was most inclined to masturbate and look at pornography.
Yeah. So even if we had been doing it twice a day, it's
so
still
here's a big effect of that on just me personally is, okay, the sex sucked. And on top of that, like when I looked at porn and I masturbated, like I felt guilty. I would always feel super guilty, super ashamed. I guess ashamed would be a big word. Guilty, ashamed, and just hidden. I felt like almost like a nobody, and I felt like stupid. I mean, I could go with feelings all day long with this.
Yeah.
But it was like that was a big pain. Like I hated, because I felt like I had to do that. I'm not saying I had to. I'm not justifying that I did it. I'm just saying I felt like I had to do it. I felt like I'm not getting what I want. I felt stuck and very frustrated and angry. And so that was like, those are some big pains of not sharing like our most intimate thoughts and sexual fantasies and things like that with each other.
Yeah.
And just being sexually repressed in general. So, and one thing you didn't like really go into was the whole like the conservative Christian culture you were brought up in and how it's like really impacted our marriage. Because, and like so many other couples we know, the wife particularly, and it's not only the wives, but usually very particular, it comes up a lot. They just, like sex is like, it's almost like
it's like
sometimes it's a good thing.
And
sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes it's kind of a gross thing. Sometimes it's kind of not like an important thing.
Especially if you just do it the regular way.
Especially if it's anything outside of regular vanilla
missionary
sex.
style.
Then it's like, ooh, I don't know if God wants that. And I'm not gonna say that God does or doesn't want that. That's not us. We're not
we're not
prescribing anything. There's no prescription. We're just giving a description of us.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this seriously comes back to being more aware of who we are as individuals, and the more that I have become free as an overall being, the more I've allowed myself the freedom to see and accept and embrace my sexuality. And a really big deal for me was when I wrote my first book, when I wrote Achieving Sexy, and I decided to make a whole chapter about sex. And I just felt like a little girl, like, I'm writing vagina.
Oh my gosh, it just hit me.
Oh my God. And that was a huge turning point for me. It was like, oh, I'm talking about these things openly. Like I've said some things in there that I had never talked about in public. And it just felt like, oh, this is my truth. I want to share this. And I am a sexual being, and I would even tell myself for a while, I am a sexual goddess.
I'm a sexual being.
I love, yes. Just even acknowledging that in myself, like, yeah, that's me. Not like, oh, that's me. Because it's a beautiful thing. And it's a part of who we are. So, and all the unhealthy behaviors come from, I believe, from not owning that part of ourselves and it driving us instead. So anyway, so yeah, I did that chapter.
That was a big moment. So you like saying that you're a sexual being, owning that you're a sexual being. Like a lot of that came a couple years ago, the book, and when you wrote the book, but even before you wrote the book, with the whole like the conversations we had that were open about our sexual fantasies. And I remember that was a huge thing for me, because I remember when you spilt, because some of these things were crazy stuff that I was like, it blew my mind.
Who would want that? That is disgusting. You want
Maybe
me to
not
do
disgusting.
What?
I was just like,
no, some of the stuff you said was definitely.
Okay. So there's lots of crazy stuff there. But here's the thing. Yeah. All of it excited me so much because it threw a wrench into the way that I thought of Lucy.
Yeah, it blew his mind of his. Yeah,
it threw a huge wrench into.
He's like, what is that? What?
Yeah, it just completely interrupted the way that I
like that.
Thought of Lucy. Yeah, because the way I thought of Lucy before was, on and off. Like, she likes sex. She enjoys sex. She's sexual. She's not sexual. She cares about it. She could give a shit about it.
She's on the right birth control now.
All kinds of stuff. And then, but when we had that first big conversation, when you opened up with your sexual fantasies for the first big time a couple years ago, like, for me, I was like, wow, like, Lucy loves sex. She's crazy about sex, just like I am. She's just been so inhibited and has been repressing it and didn't have the freedom to let it out. And so that right there changed my entire story of you and the story of our sex lives for me. So
how about them new stories?
And that like empowered me, inspired me to do more to get it. And like not
get out of his comfort zone.
Not like work to get it, but do more as in like give it more energy rather than quitting and giving up. Because in the past I would quit. Like if I felt like you didn't give a shit.
In fact, you know what?
That's when I turned to masturbation and pornography, because I would just quit. Like, well, I'm not gonna get any more with her. I'm not gonna get anything special.
Yeah, like what's the point? It's been X amount of years.
So when we had that conversation, that was a huge thing.
That whole conversation, that series of conversations that we had about fantasies here after moving here, was after you had decided to quit again. You're like, oh, I give up. Like I'm not gonna try. I just don't remember what led up to that point. But I remember feeling like, no, I'm ready for this. I want this. I don't want to be this way. This is not who I am, and I know it. And so then stuff started opening up. Yeah. But
and there's been many of those times. Like there's been many of those seasons throughout the past decade.
And there will be more.
11 years of like, well, I don't like. Okay, I'm not gonna say there's not gonna be, but I hope not. But there's been many seasons. You don't even know what I'm gonna say. Shut up.
Okay.
So, but there's been many seasons where I would give up. Like shit seemed so tough, and I felt like she didn't want me so much that I was like, well, fuck you. I can take care of myself. And I'll look at porn. I'll do my thing, and don't slip in the shower. Like that was my thing.
Like just rinse it off, dude.
Fuck you, and because that was me so many times, and we get through those seasons. But yeah, definitely a couple years ago when we had our big first open conversation about sexual fantasies, it changed my entire way that I looked at her. And so I fought so much harder for myself and for her in our marriage and our intimacy and our sexuality.
Yeah.
Because I had so much more hope.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm going to sneeze and I just... It's not coming out.
Do it.
It's on one
I'm going to tie this up. So, what time is it? 9 o'clock. So, was it 45 minutes?
Oh, my side.
We'll tie this up. So, let's leave this with...
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, I love this.
Let's summarize this.
We don't even need to summarize it. I just, like, I know... Good. I'm going to assume that, even when we've been so open with each other, like when we hear this stuff, we read books like this. Another great author is Esther Perel, and not just an author, like everything she does, like all her counseling and
yeah, she's got a lot of stuff on Audible,
and all kinds of stuff, on Amazon. Really good. But every time like that stuff comes up, like I have these questions inside of me, like am I sharing everything? Does Lucy fully know me? And am I being completely open in the light with her? And so I just know that so many of you have that going on, and so I want to just challenge you to take the risk, take the jump, and share.
Yeah.
The worst that can happen is you get a divorce, you hate each other, but but this is amazing. So yeah, so that's what we're gonna leave you with.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, you summarized it well.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We love you all, and please do, so we haven't been getting a lot of comments on our wall and open likes and stuff because we know we're kind of controversial, open, raw, crazy,
unorthodox,
especially when it comes to
stuff.
Us being Christian, and we cuss and we talk about things like sex like this openly, and so it's fine, but we still encourage you to send us emails, contact us, and let us know like what's working for you, what's not, like what you love about the show.
Yeah.
What
like any insight that you got from it that you have applied to your life or you're going to.
Yeah, and the opposite, like what you can't stand. That's fine. I love that too. What you can't stand, what's not working for you, what the cuss words that you don't really like me using. That's fine. Let me know. And I'm not gonna change them.
But
I'm not gonna change them, but you can let me know. Anyways, I love you guys. And we will catch you next time.